hello. I think I'm all better now. The sun came up. I'm feeling good. Day 7, book 7. We are reading Until We Reckon by Danielle Sarid, rather. I have no idea how to say it. Okay. We're on page 10 of the introduction. How's it sound? Does it sound alright? Change it a little bit. So does it sound good? Sound good, leave a 1. Sound good, leave a 1. Gotta get away from that idea. Start saying leave a fist. That's what I'm gonna start saying. Leave a fist in the comments if it sounds good. Okay. Page 10 of the introduction. Until We Reckon by Danielle Sarid. As a lawyer and scholar, Michelle Alexander has argued decisively in her text, The New Jim Crow, this precipitous rise of mass incarceration in this country, couched as the war on drugs, was part of a continuous history of racial inequity that extends back throughout history to Jim Crow and convict leasing and slavery before it. In this latest iteration, leaders ranging from President Nixon, Reagan, Bush 1 and 2, and Clinton, together with local and state legislators, enacted a strategy that blocked or reversed many of the gains secured for people of color throughout the civil rights movement. Under Nixon, the newly weaponized category felon replaced a racialized designation. Replace a racialized designation in the public discourse with one word about criminality. With one word that was about criminality. The F word, it says, okay, this is saying the F word in the place of the N word, as a formerly incarcerated leader once explained. I'm not going to. This framework was mobilized to keep in place various forms of disenfranchisement and inequity previously secured by Jim Crow laws, but poised to be disrupted by the mounting gain of civil rights advancement. Later, the American public devoured stories about Willie Horton, a man who, while on a weekend furlough program, while serving a life sentence for murder, absconded and was later convicted of assault, armed robbery, and rape. And we were aware of super predators, a new generation of children, yes, children, who were supposedly so vicious and monstrous and so unlike any other kids we had ever known that they were impervious. That they were impervious to guidance or even typical deterrence, incapable of empathy, and built only to devour and destroy. Neither the motivation for nor the impact of the war on drugs had much to do with drugs, nor did the narrative that secured the rise of mass incarceration. That narrative was largely about violence. As a nation, we said, and often believed, that we put people in prison to keep the rest of us safe. That story retained its power, even as the great ballooning of mass incarceration included locking up a great number of people for drug-related and other non-violent offenses. It is crucial not to mistake the numbers for the narrative. While the war on drugs dramatically increased penalties for drug-related and other offenses, the line of argument that buttressed it remained steady and familiar, and was certainly one about danger. At the heart of the narrative is a story of an imagined monstrous mother, a monster who is not quite human like the rest of us, who is capable of extraordinary harm and incapable of empathy, who inflicts great pain but does not feel it as we do, a monster we saw and our children have to be protected from at any price. This is not a new story. It is as old as our nation, and it is not a race-neutral story. To the contrary, it has long been a story white people have told about black people, and at times, including these times we are in now, about immigrants. It is a deadly, dishonest story, one with blood on its hands. It is a story that divides us, that impairs our ability to act rationally, and that underpins our culture's response to violence. When we make policy changes that leave this story in place, the resulting gains are limited and temporary. We secure the release of some people convicted of nonviolent offenses, for instance, and find ourselves increasing mandatory minimum sentences for violent crimes in the next legislative session, if not in the very same one. Hold on, give me 1 second. Okay. I'm gonna try to keep. No. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna end this live because it's the morning and people are getting here. We're gonna end this live. We're gonna move sets, and we're gonna restart after that. We're gonna end this live, then restart, move sets.